I wanted to start by sharing a quick video going over some of the goals for the course and some of the foundational concepts. If you look at the syllabus, you'll notice our student learning outcomes. These are the things you should be able to do at the end of the course. Our first student learning outcome is that you'll be able to analyze college-level text by identifying and evaluating main ideas, audience, purpose, organization, strength of evidence, and rhetorical strategies. In terms of the text, we're going to be looking at a variety of different texts: literature, news articles, opinion-style editorials, research articles, and one novel towards the end of the course. And for each of these, we're going to be looking at message, purpose, and choices. In the 4 essays for this class, a lot of what you're going to be writing about is going to involve looking at evidence and purpose and organization. So for the analysis essay, our first essay, you're going to be analyzing a piece of literature. You'll have lots of pieces to choose from. And then after that, we're going to be moving on to the research essay. For the research essay, you get a lot of freedom. You can pick any topic that is a current problem in the US that's of interest to you. So if you don't love writing about literature, hang in there for the first 4 weeks, because after that, we're going to move on to the research essay, and we're going to be looking at news articles and researching a topic that is maybe connected to your concentration or something you're really interested in. So a lot of people love the research essay. After that, we're going to have a timed essay, and this is going to be rhetorical analysis of a news article. And then we'll end with a literary analysis of the book There by Tommy Orange. I wanted to talk a little bit about rhetorical strategies and rhetoric. So you'll notice that's the last few words in our student learning outcome. So I wanted to give an overview of what is rhetoric. Most English classes, when they look at rhetoric and start to define rhetoric, they look to Aristotle, who wrote a lot about rhetoric. Aristotle broke it down into 3 different elements that are interacting with each other. So for Aristotle, there was this idea of credibility. The speaker needs to have credibility, so needs to establish that they're knowledgeable and experienced and have relevant information to show. Pathos, which is engaging the audience, often by appealing to their emotions. So even if you have this great evidence, if you can't get your audience to care, you might lose your audience. And then message. So this is the logic, the evidence, the way that the text is structured. Even though Aristotle was talking primarily about public discourse, about people arguing in court, a lot of these ideas apply to writing as well. So whether it's a situation where somebody's speaking, giving a presentation, or whether somebody has written something, these same factors is one way to look at the rhetoric in a text. So let's talk about each of these in a little more detail. Ethos is the Greek word for character. And Aristotle, when he was thinking about this, broke it down into a few separate categories. So if we're trying to evaluate, can we trust the speaker? Should we listen to the speaker? Is the speaker credible? We could look at this first category, which is good sense. For Aristotle, this meant that somebody was knowledgeable, experienced, credentials. So what kind of initials do they have after their name? What degrees do they hold? So if I'm really interested in the world of business, I might think that Elon Musk is somebody with a lot of credibility. So he founded multiple companies, he has a BA in econ, a BA in physics, he became a multimillionaire by his 20s, so he's really able to run a business, founder of SpaceX and Tesla, and his net worth in October was $22.8 billion. So a pretty impressive person. If I'm listening to someone speak about business, I would be interested in hearing what he has to say. Aristotle also said when we're establishing whether we trust someone, their credibility, we often consider or factor in their moral character. Do they seem fair, honest? And if somebody doesn't really seem like they're being fair or honest, it might damage how receptive we are to their message. And then lastly, Aristotle says that we often are interested in whether somebody's community-oriented. So are they altruistic? Are they charitable? Are they just in things for themselves? Or do they have this broader view? So when they're making their argument, is it just self-interested? Or is it something where they're looking at a more community-oriented way? So I just put a screenshot of LeBron James here because he's incredibly generous and has donated over $40 million in to programs supporting children. So he's somebody who has that type of credibility, that type of ethos. I just wanted to briefly mention that there's many things that can damage a person or an organization's credibility. So a lot of people used to have a lot of respect for Red Cross and donate a lot of money. And then when there was the disaster in Haiti, they lost a lot of that credibility because of how the money was managed. So $500 million or $500 million. And with that money, they built 6 homes. So this created a lot of mistrust of the organization. Now, whether or not it was actual corruption or just the appearance of corruption, it's hard to say. It's very hard to maybe work with governments in foreign countries. Maybe the corruption lies there. But they lost a lot of their credibility. And now when people are thinking about who to donate to, some are hesitant to donate to Red Cross for that reason. There's other things that damage your ethos as a writer or a speaker. So if there's a lot of extreme claims, so claims that the author's making that are just overblown or exaggerated, that can damage the credibility and make us less likely to trust that person. One of my favorite websites is PolitiFact. It has a section that's called the Truthometer, and what it does is it takes statements floating out there, so statements made by public officials, statements posted on Facebook, statements made by news organization, and it fact checks them to see how true they are. Are they accurate, or are they just totally exaggerated? So we have a couple of different ratings. For something that's mostly true, it's accurate, but it needs clarification. So it's kind of twisting the information a bit. Half true is if a statement's partially accurate but leaves out important details or takes things out of context. And then all the way down at the bottom, we have pants on fire. So statements that are just not accurate, totally not based on reality. I wanted to just show a couple examples. So law-abiding gun owners stop crimes 2.5 million times a year. So this is mostly false. It's not totally false, but it's leaving out some information. It's a really high-end estimate. So you can see that it's kind of rated as mostly false. And that kind of claim could really damage somebody's credibility, a speaker or a writer's credibility. Here's one that's just totally false. Climate change is nothing but a bunch of computer models that attempt to tell us what's going to happen in 50 years or 30. So you can see it's just not accurate. And here's one that's totally pants on fire. So, for example, this one is not based in reality at all. There's nothing wrong with claims that are really strong as long as they're also accurate. So when you're writing or listening to someone speak, if they make a really strong claim that it's based in reality, it's based on evidence, that's great. There's nothing inherently wrong with strong claims. So this is from Facebook. In 1978, a student who worked a minimum wage summer job could afford to pay a full year's tuition at the four-year public university of their choice. And this is pretty much true. Just shows how much things have changed. I wanted to move on and talk about pathos. So pathos is getting your audience engaged in your message by appealing to their emotions. So this is sometimes called putting the audience in the right frame of mind. And this can be done in a variety of ways. Often this is done through interesting storytelling. Storytelling invites us to imagine things in a way that we might not otherwise, to suspend judgment, to consider alternative ideas. This is also done through negative emotions often. So sometimes organizations will try to make us feel fear, guilt, sadness, shame to get us to act. This is an ad from UNICEF. And most people, when they read this ad, feel guilty because we recognize that we, in the United States have a lot of wealth compared to other places. You can also appeal to people's positive emotions, appealing to their sense of pride, patriotism, family values. This often works really well. Negative emotions, so... And that's all I'm going to watch because I'm a dog lover and this ad makes me just so sad. So you want to think about when you're appealing to people's emotions, you don't necessarily want to use too much pathos because you might alienate some members of your audience. So this ad is just so heartbreaking that some people turn the TV off or won't watch it or don't want to listen to the message. This is a balancing act, thinking about how to engage your audience emotions. Now we're going to talk about logos, the structure of the message, and the evidence. So when you're structuring your message, you can use a lot of facts, evidence, statistics to really help your audience understand the importance of your message. So 8 million tons of plastic per year end up in our oceans. You can also have a blend of pathos and logos. So I might show something like an image which has an immediacy and get your viewers to feel a certain way, and I might pair that with statistics. So here's an image of a seabird eating plastic. I might also include that 59% of seabirds were found with plastic debris in their organs. It's estimated by 2050, 99% of seabird species will be swallowing plastic. You could use an image that's a little bit more extreme in its appeal to our pathos. So this is an image of a bird that ingested so much plastic that it died. So it's really balancing both, maybe including both, and also analyzing the message of other writers and speakers. What are they relying on? Are they relying on emotion? Are they backing that up with evidence? Arguments can have more than one appeal. So this is an example of a UNICEF ad, and here we have some facts, some logos. 1.4 million children die every year from dirty water. And we also have something that appeals to our emotion with the imagery that's used. It's really disgusting, dirty water, and it should get an emotional reaction from us. So thanks for watching that brief overview of rhetoric and some of our course concepts.